let's start. Can you tell us about yourself and your role in the Islands program, in Seychelles particularly, and what are the main activities you're involved in or are leading?
Okay, I'm a consultant and I've been working on Islands project since October 2023. So basically, I provide technical support to the project. And I have done a few activities directly in the project, such as a national inventory on chemicals. But it's more to provide the assistance to the team when reviewing consultancy work, etc.
Thank you for that. So, how long have you been in the project?
Since 2023, so it's 3 years now, going on 3 years.
Wow. And are you enjoying it so far?
Yes, it's a long time coming. It's an area of work where we haven't really done a lot in the past. So this project is very important, I see, for Seychelles and other small island states, because we've never really looked at chemicals in the way that we are doing it now.
Is that right? Well, my next question is really like, who are you working with? But that's very interesting what you just said. Why is it that chemicals is new in the Seychelles?
It's new for small island states in general because in the past it is a work area where you can't see a lot of what the impact is because small islands don't have testing capabilities. So a lot of pollution with regards to chemicals can go unseen, and it doesn't really go to the ear of the right person to put in money and implement activities in these areas. So with this project, what I can see now is we finally been able to implement a lot of activities and sensitize a lot of people about the impacts of chemicals in small island states.
That's a very good way to phrase it. Now, let me ask Cliff, do you have a team or are you working with some people or organizations, especially in the area of chemicals and waste management?
Okay, I run a private consultancy firm, but I'm working with a project team comprising of the project manager for Jeff Islands project in Seychelles, and as well as the Department of Environment, Landscape and Waste Management Agency. You know, these stakeholders, government stakeholders that form part of the team for to implement the Islands project. So basically, I'm working with the project manager on this component.
That's wonderful. And we'll talk more about her and your team later. But for now, the main reason we invited you for the interview is to talk about the WEEE app in the Seychelles. And I understand that it's the first of its kind. So let's talk about the app. How did it
Mm.
start? Why was the app created?
Okay, so we had just, I think it was about a month ago. It was in March, around the 15th or 16th of March. And the Islands project had already been working on a feasibility for waste electronic and electrical equipment, which we call WEEE, or you can call it e-waste. And I had reviewed the document, and I was thinking that we need in a small island setting is really a directory. We need to look at repair so that the reduction component of waste management is there. And I was thinking about reduction. How can we reduce e-waste? And then I stumbled upon, the repairing industry. I said, hey, this is important. How important is it? I don't know. And how many people are involved? I don't know. So I said, why don't I do something about this and create some sort of a directory? I looked for a directory actually on the websites and there were none. So I said, nowadays most people probably won't go on the website to look for a directory. They will use their phone. So why don't I just create an app for that? So that was more of the rationale behind the app, and it took about a weekend. I spent like Saturday and Sunday just working on this app, on this idea, shall I say? It was an idea at that time. And by the following week, I think around Tuesday or Wednesday, I sent an email around to the government, the Department of Environment, telling them, hey, maybe we can work on something like that. I can do something, and you can see if it's something that you would like to support and pursue. That's where I believe it came about.
I like that because you actually saw in the midst of all the technical studies, all of the preliminary work, the basic issue of a directory. Like you something simple, something practical. And I remember you saying, well, I stood in a repair shop and then there were this number of people. Can you tell us about that story? Like what was it was like a tipping point moment. So can you tell us about that story?
Correct. I mean, once I formulated that idea and I received support from the government, said, okay, that's a good idea. And I was about in town. I saw this repair shop. It was just next to where I was standing. And I said, let me go inside and talk to the owner and just tell him about this app and what can we do to support, the repairers. And I was standing there, and he was serving somebody. So I was standing there waiting for that somebody to finish so that I can talk to him. But then other people kept coming in, two, three people, four people. I was just standing there, and in the space of 5 minutes, at least seven people had entered, and he was actually working on something, polishing it, giving it to somebody else who had come in to collect or something. And I thought that was very sort of eye-opening for me. I said, if he wasn't around, then all these watches I'm seeing here would have been in the bin. So, so I sort of congratulated him for the work that he's doing. I was encouraging him to continue with this work, even though he was saying, we don't make a lot of money because of the smaller amount that we are charging people for this, but we're doing it out of the kindness of our heart. It's something that we've been in the family for so long. And so there was this discussion going on, but I could clearly see that these people were playing a big part in reducing electronic waste in a small island setting.
That's very interesting because if people think of the Seychelles, they would think paradise. They would think tours, resorts, right? And like the term paradisiacal, no problem. But it appears that e-waste is a problem in the Seychelles. Do you see that in your work as a private consultant and now with islands?
I would say yes and no. It is not a big problem that is, a very big problem, but it is a problem area, just like any other waste stream that we have. We can have the same conversation on used oil. We can have the same conversation on used batteries. But for these ones, at least there are people collecting them. Whereas for electronic items, there are no collection being done. And the reason why is because there are no markets for it. It's very difficult to sell and recover any value from electronic waste. So this is where I believe the Jeff project is supporting us to sort of look at ways to deal with this issue through incentives, through whatever economic instruments, so that we can create sort of a value and a chain of recycling or disposal of this item out of the country. Because at the moment, most of them are in storage or at the landfill. And it's something that you will see in most other countries because it's just the way this kind of waste stream is by nature. You have to dismantle, you have to it's sort of time consuming. It doesn't have an immediate market. And that is why it's an area of concern for us.
Thank you. Now, that is very concerning if we say that there's no market. Because if there's no market, then that paints a picture that it has no value. However, you mentioned that there was a feasibility study made before. Can you tell us what the feasibility study found out?
The feasibility is still under review. It has not been finalized. But the long and short of this study is that we are importing a lot of these electronic items, and there are different types. There's the large items that like fridges, freezers, and things like that, television. And then there are the small items. There's the mobile phones. There's all the printers and all these sort of things that in the past, some of them were easily repaired or reused and sold. But nowadays, what we're seeing is most of them are designed for disposal. They are not designed to be repaired. It's difficult to find the parts. And in big countries, it might not be a problem, but in a small island setting, you can imagine that we don't have space to continuously landfill these things. And we have to set up mechanisms of exporting, reusing, repairing, and that is where we are looking at, because most of them, these items contain hazardous substances, and it's not really a good practice to just landfill them.
I can imagine. I like what you said that in this day, electronic appliances are made for disposal. So let's go back to the app. In your app, you have six types of equipment to repair. Why was this six equipment chosen? Was there a particular reason for it?
It's an excellent question. I ask myself the same question all the time. You see, because we have 12 or 13 different categories of e-waste. But as in a small island, one of the things I've learned over the years is you have to start somewhere. You have to start slow. You cannot start with something too complicated, and it will just not work. So I was thinking of, let us start somewhere where we can start. The easy big items, the fridges, which is a problem for households to dispose of, and which has a market that can be reused and repurposed. Let us start there, and then we will see what other things, if that is successful, we can see what other things can be added. You see, and there are some. I spoke to a repairer, another repairer, and he was saying, when we people bring in items to repair, I look at it, and if I see I'm not going to make money out of it, I just refuse, which I think is horrible to consider. But this is the business case. This is what's happening out there. So he's looking at it from a standpoint of value. And if it's going to take a long time to repair, or if it's going to be difficult to find parts, he's just not interested. He'd rather tell you, go and landfill it. So these are the sort of information that we need. And that's why I was thinking about that app, having them, having them known, talking to them, getting them involved in the project is the sort of the end goal also of this app.
I like that. So it appears that the audience of the app are these repair shop owners, the private businesses, but then you'll have to promote them to the consumers or customers. Can you tell us the process of how you thought about this and how the app will actually be promoted for these businesses to thrive?
Yes, I mean there are two kinds of users for this app. There's the businesses that repair it, and then there's the people like me and you who have something broken and we want to see if we can repair it. So, for example, if I have something now that is broken, an electronic item, before the app, I don't know who to go to. I can try call someone who's had some similar situation and try and get some advice, but there's no place I can go and say, this is the list of the repairers, and send a photo, WhatsApp or whatever, and say, what do you think? Can this be repaired? And is it worth it? This sort of access was missing. And the second part, like you rightly said, was with regards to the businesses themselves. Now, some of them, there are people that know them. They are servicing a pool of clients, but they might not necessarily mean that all people know about the services that they provide. And the ones that I visited, I certainly did not know that they existed. And I told them, I did not know you existed. I have difficulty finding your place even. Even I have your phone number, I call you, I could not locate where your place is. The amount of inconvenience and hassle involved, I would just toss the electronic item in the bin. You understand? So, so this is why it is important that we know who they are, we engage with them, and we see where are the bottlenecks in e-waste repair, so that we at least we can tell government and the project to address those areas.
That's a very good connection point to the government. Earlier, you said that you contacted the government about this app because you started with a problem. First problem is we need to manage the influx of e-waste. Okay, what's the most practical thing to do for our people? Repair. Instead of disposal, let's see if you can save the life, right? I like the app. It opens repairing before disposing. So that's really cool. But tell us the process with the government. You said, hey, I have this idea. Can we work together on it? What was the process like? Because I noticed you have at least three government focal points there: the Department of Environment, the Landscape and Waste Management Authority, and I think another one that's also local. Tell us the process that you did with the government to promote or create the app.
Okay. I because we are partners in the Jeff projects, island projects, I informed them about this I'm working on. But I need to say that the app now does not have the links to the government websites. It was removed in the update on the 24th of March because it is something to do with Google Play Store, that you have to be government or have a letter from government to register sort of a government app. You know, they saw it as a government app. So I decided to remove it for now because the aim in the end was to really transfer this app to government and have them operate something like that. But yes, but I spoke to LWMA, Landscape and Waste Management Agency, and the Department of Environment. Both were very supportive. They said, "Oh, you've beat us to it because it's something we always wanted to do, but we couldn't do it." And I said, I can show you how to do it. It's not difficult, but even I can transfer the app to you guys." So we're really doing it for to show that it can be done. It is something that we can work on so that we can support the e-waste component under the Jeff Islands project.
Cliff, you mentioned about it's very easy to do it, but there's an impression that having an app, creating an app, is very expensive. Is it truly expensive? How long did it take? Who did you have to contact? I like what you told us earlier. You don't need any programming language. But tell us, how did you do it? Did you hire a developer or something?
Okay. Last year, I developed an app. I learned programming, and I can tell you it took 8 months or 9 months to learn that language and do it. But for this one, I did not actually type a single code because nowadays you can have artificial intelligence help you to troubleshoot codes that are wrong or something like that. So in the past, when you type something and you made a mistake, it takes you weeks to find out where the bug is. Nowadays, you just type on artificial intelligence, can you check line 9, and immediately it gives you and it corrects the version. So it makes it now, the way I'm seeing it now, somebody even without any knowledge of programming can actually do an app without any problem in 2026.
That's very important because it gives confidence to whoever it is who wants to replicate the app. And I'm telling you, I put it on my Android and it's very easy. It's only, I think, less than 4 MB. It runs very fast. And I'm using an old unit as well. Similar to your philosophy, we try to repair our devices first. So this is a repair device. It runs on a repair device. It's a 10-year-old device. So I can say, as a consumer, this is going to be very useful for me. Now, let's go back to the app. because it's important for the Jeff Islands regional team to hear this. Sometimes we have the impression that why another app, right? So, can you tell us what's the big buy in that you told the government for them to see your vision of, hey, you guys, you can take this on even after funding ends? Can you tell us how you convinced them and how you got all of these other vendors to join the app?
Okay. I didn't have to do much convincing because compared to other countries, Seychelles does not have a lot of application that is built locally in this country. So we are very a bit behind the wave. So a lot of it is still sort of either posted on a website that is maybe outdated or is on paper. So to have the digital interface coming in at this time was very much welcome because it's like I said, we were sort of behind the wave. So, and as far as I know, there is no such similar application that I've found, on even Play Store or anywhere. So it is something completely new, and something that young people sort of they like. This is what they like. They love these applications. They love having things at their fingertips. Nobody wants to open up a laptop and type a website. They just want to open an app and press here and there and get that information. And this is what I was thinking when I was doing that. I said, for example, even the telephone numbers, you just click on the telephone number and you can straight away call that person. If you want to send an email, you click on it and send away an email. So even the search, you can search anything anywhere. So we try, this is the nowadays what is happening and it's a trend. So it's making life easy for somebody who's looking for that sort of information. So I didn't have to do much. For the businesses, most of them were already listed on some or one or two government websites. So the information was already in public domain, but still I sent an email to them, all of them, to inform them about this initiative, the app. Some of them I passed on physically to see them and find out about them, what they are doing, what is their problem. It's not problem really, but what is the sort of issues of concern. So a few of them, some of them are located on another island because Seychelles has a few islands. And so we couldn't sort of meet, but we spoke by phone. And the person was saying, this is a great, great initiative for me because I've been working in this sector for a long time and nobody sort of really is looking at us, is checking up on us or something like that, right? So I think from their perspective, they welcomed it. And the only concern I had was that because previously there was some attempt to have a business registry and they were contacted by private people who wanted money from them to be on that business registry. So one of them, at least one of them, was asking me, how much do I have to pay? Do I have to pay this? So I said, no, you don't have to pay anything. It's free. It's for you. The benefit for us is that we see the e-waste being reduced, not being central landfill. This is our benefit. It's completely free for you. We're doing things to actually make your life easier. So yeah, that is only one exception that we had. Somebody was asking about this.
But that's very important because the business registry or the fee, like a membership fee to get listed, is at the
Correct.
forefront of the business manager's mind. And to say that it's free, it's free publicity and you help people, it's for a good cause. You're in the government list now. I assume that the government is like also part of it. They have downloaded the app. So my next question, Cliff, is there any incentive possibility? For example, in the future, potentially the app becomes an economic instrument. For example, if you use the app services, you will have tokens like a discount coupon. Then that would also incentivize the consumer saying, oh, maybe if I bring my broken sewing machine there or my broken blender, I would get points, and on the third repair, I get a 10% discount. Is there like a kind of mechanism that's being thought of at the moment?
This is an excellent idea, and these are the things that I was thinking about when I started this. That this could transform into a platform where people can even take a photograph of the broken item, send it to directly to these people, and even they could even put it up for sale, like a marketplace. The possibility is endless. It was done to show that we can do something here, and I hope it is my hope that the government, can pick up on this and sort of see the potential and what can we do? How can we add more to it? And any other country doing any small island state wanting to do something like that can also consider what are the additional functionality I can bring that will make this more useful, worthwhile.
For sure. So we have the technical functionality, which is like the future of how the app can grow and expand. But let's go back to the connectors inside the app. I'm very interested to hear for the Department of Environment and the LWMA, okay? Because just for the audience here, the app actually has a resource list. And in the resource list, you have the Department of Environment, the Islands Project website, a link to global reports that talk about e-waste, and e-waste collectors. Now, if I were a person in Seychelles and I want to know who can collect my super big refrigerator who's just taking up space in my backyard, who will I call? It actually brings me to the website of the local, it's a long name, LWMA, it says.
Yeah.
Okay. And the LWMA of Seychelles, it actually has a waste collection program. Now, Cliff, when you invited them, say, we're going to list you in our app, did they say, okay, tell them to contact this person if they want to collect? Was there any mechanism or systematic way of what happens if a consumer clicks on them? Is there a manager who does that?
Yes, the Landscape and Waste Management Agency. In the past, I used to work for the Landscape and Waste Management Agency when it was not called the Landscape and Waste Management Agency. It was a small agency that just started. We are talking in 1999, which is a long time ago. So they've developed over the years. I left the agency around 2003. So they already have a waste collection program. They already have contractors collecting waste. Um, they have a website which is in the public domain as well. Where they list all the contractors and services. So I wanted WEEE App to make the connection. In the future, we might have a collector that will collect only e-waste. So this platform will give them the opportunity to connect directly with that contractor. But for the moment, we do not have that service. So there is no dedicated collection of e-waste because, like I said, there's no market, there's no life cycle management scheme in place. And it is something that the Islands Project for Seychelles is trying to look at. So uh, I've just created the opportunity for somebody who wants to contact a collector. Maybe he wants to dispose of the e-waste, and then he can just click tap here and then go directly to the list of contractors. So when that gets updated by LWMA, it will be an added functionality, let's say.
Excellent answer to the question. And I think that's a great segue to talk about the Islands Project in the Seychelles. So, one of the big objectives of the Islands Project in the Seychelles is to really prevent the buildup of e waste. So, the app itself answers one part of the question, which is really how to resolve the problem without adding to disposal. So some percentage gets avoided from getting dumped on the dump site. That's great. But let's go back to the potential of how the app can actually be amplified by the project and how the project can leverage on the app to amplify its objectives. Okay. I know that Monette is here, so I think at this time I'm going to ask Monette to open her camera. And then the question here is, what is the connection, no, the app? What is the connection to the Islands program in the Seychelles. How does the app support, in particular, the goals and objectives of the Islands program? In particular, can you give a specific activity or output that the app directly contributes to? And if you were going to replicate the app, or actually, if you were going to promote it through the Islands project, how would you do it? What would be a good activity to promote this app? Over to you.
I think this is an excellent way of promoting to show people that we can actually repair our electronic waste instead of just throwing it in the bin that end up on the landfill. So we have some shops, some repair shop that can actually recycle, repair the broken phones, the broken TV, and other electronic waste. And this will be helpful in contributing towards the output of the project, which is managing and reducing the amount of waste in Seychelles.
Thank you very
If I
much.
may add,
Oh, go ahead, Cliff.
yeah, if I may add, there is under the Jeff Islands project for Seychelles, there are three priority waste streams that we have to deal with. One is used oil, which is, kitchen oil and engine oil, lubricating oil. The other one is e-waste, which is what we are concerned with now. And the last one is used batteries, being lead acid batteries, even lithium batteries. So we have to do what is called a life cycle management system for this priority waste stream, meaning we have to look at the importation, from importation right to the disposal, how we can manage this, collect it, reuse it, recycle it. And so far, we've done for the used oil, and we've done something for the batteries, but for the e-waste, we're still stuck because of the market, like I said. But we have developed the feasibility, and now through the app, we know who are the stakeholders and how to engage them, and what are the issues of concern. But now the next level will be to find markets, and you will see that is why in the app I have a link to prices, scrap prices. So it is in a way pointing the eye to this waste has got potential, and people who downloads it who are not in the business might want to go into the business. People who are already in the scrap business who downloads it will see, oh, there is value here and there, and maybe through that we can unlock the market and the infrastructure for people to export it to somewhere. There is one contractor we spoke to that has collected e-waste before and has successfully exported it. So, but we just need to have the right environment, the sort of the financial, the economic instrument that will support these sort of activities. Right now, unless some businesses bring it to him, it's not cost effective for him to go around collecting everything and then exporting. So it is this aspect that I think the Jeff Islands project will look at and see how we can crack this problem.
That's a very excellent point. You are correct, Cliff. Jeff Islands project in Seychelles is part of the big Jeff Islands program. And one of the program projects in the Caribbean is also looking at sustainability of financing and funding. So the importance of our conversation today is we need to also say this to the other regions. Like, what's the potential or the market value of the scrap e-waste that's being collected, right? So I want you to have a think of that because first I'm going to talk to Jean Sebastian. When you said life cycle management approach, I know that the island's Indian Ocean region is working with the Indian Ocean Commission, who's looking at exactly this, the circular economy aspect. So while you mull over, like, how can this app be applicable to other islands countries? I'm going to talk to Jean Sebastian. Jean Sebastian, you've heard our conversation today. How does this app, leverage on the presence of the Indian Ocean Commission's expertise and pivotal role as a communications specialist for islands in Seychelles in the region? Can do you think, what can you say about the circular economy aspect of this app? How is it useful for the islands project itself? Over to you, Jean Sebastian.
I would like to say that yes, I come back from Madagascar. I was intended at um, a workshop on circular economy, and of course, what we noticed that is the lack of coordination about who is doing what, and I think the app absolutely answer to this lack of coordination and to localization of who is doing what. So my question is it, can we imagine the scale of this app at a regional level?
That's a good question, JS. Cliff, something for us to think about. Because it's very important for a global program such as Islands to think about scaling, right? But then let's look at why the app was designed in the first place. Thank you, JS. The app was designed in the first place to respond to a local problem for a local stakeholder group, right? But now we zoom out. What is the vision, Cliff? What would you recommend to other island regions, other island countries, if they want to do the same way, knowing the background of Islands program itself? What would you tell them? What would be the three things that you'd recommend them to start with? Because I like what you said. You have to start somewhere. So over to you, Cliff.
Yes. So yes, the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is we see a lot of initiatives or a lot of things implemented in other countries that may not be applicable to small island setting. So the first recommendation would be to build something that is sort of relevant to your context. There might be maybe there might be people not using telephone mobile phones to look for this, but maybe there is. You don't know. So whatever context you find yourself in, you could, for example, there might be people who might use the app to sell something, or it is broken, they want to sell it. That's all they're interested in. They don't want to repair it. Different cultures, think differently. So to do things within your own local context, I think is one of the big recommendation. The other one is we need to see how these sort of initiatives, like you mentioned, can be sort of expanded with added functionality. And we just listened to uh, Sebastian about this. For example, a lot of companies in small island states do not know businesses that can accept that they can sell recyclables or even these sort of waste too. And there might be companies in Mauritius that can accept this certain waste. There can be companies in Madagascar, companies in South Africa, but we won't know, and we don't know. It's very difficult to get that sort of information. So if you want to zoom out and have sort of a registry, at, at, at Indian Ocean level, for example, that would be very useful. At least I think it would be very useful to know who are the companies dealing with this sort of waste stream in Mauritius, who are the ones dealing in Madagascar or in Comoros or in any Indian Ocean countries, because we share similar issues, we share similar problems, and it's good to know this. So yeah, that's how I can see maybe how it can be interpreted in other contexts. But certainly, I think other countries can do it. It's not difficult. It's very easy. And like I said, they can look at the added functionality that is specific to their context and their problem that they have.
Thank you, Cliff. I think that's a great way to wrap up the core conversation about the Seychelles Electronics and Electricals Repair Directory app. It's very, very useful. I think you've answered all the questions that we wanted to hear about. First, who is the app for? Why was it created? What's the potential for local authorities and policy implementers that are already there? And most especially, what's the future for connecting with the regional and global arms of the Jeff Islands project? I think on this, Cliff, thank you so much. I will give you the last word. If you want to talk about the app in 30 seconds, how would you talk to me about it?
Thank you. I would say it's a way to connect to repairers. These people are doing a tremendous job. They need our support. They need the support of government. And it's not only for me to connect with them to repair something, it's for government also to connect with them to see what can be done to support that sort of sector. And in the end, we achieve the same goal, which is the reduction of electronic waste going into landfills in small island states.
Excellent. And that's a wrap.